now, exactly. Welcome to our screencast. This is Emmy Kim, another science teacher. This is Kurt Knox, the other science teacher. Right now, you guys should be in your textbook on page 224, and as you guys know, you guys can pause this video anytime you want, rewind it, all that stuff.
This is Chapter 7, Section 1.
Excellent, thank you for that. So please follow along in your textbook as the PowerPoint goes on. So this is about Darwin, Charles Darwin, and who he was. Charles Darwin, this is a picture of him when he was older. However, when Charles Darwin first started off on the HMS Beagle, he was about 22 years old, and this was in 1831. If you guys think of frontier times, that's about that's what you're thinking of. Okay, so he was a man who lived in England. He was a naturalist, which meant he studied plants and animals, and he got an opportunity to go on a boat around the world. And here's the boat right here. You can see a picture of the boat. So it wasn't that big. So he traveled around the world in the boat called the HMS Beagle. And most of his studies occurred on the Galapagos Islands. And if you look carefully right here, these are the Galapagos Islands, which are just west of South America. It's pretty far west, but not too far. So notice it's south of the equator. We have Mexico right here, and the Galapagos Islands are just west of South America. Now, Charles Darwin started off in Europe right up here. So he traveled down, bounced around South America, end up in the Galapagos Islands. All right, so what Charles Darwin noticed when he was on the HMS Beagle was that there's a whole lot of animal life out there. You got to consider, he just lived in England, and all he saw was England animals, England plants, all that stuff. So when he went to South America, he saw a bunch of animals that were not native to England. Okay?
They didn't even have the Discovery Channel, so he's never seen these things.
Exactly. So he was amazed. He was amazed by all the different wildlife, or the diversity of wildlife. Okay? He noticed that there was lots of different species, and he found lots of different fossils. And fossils are preserved remains of animals that lived in the past. So as he was bouncing around South America, he was noticing lots of different animals in different parts of the world. Darwin's findings. I thought you wanted to do that. You want to do that? Or you want, okay. We can cut this part out. I don't even know if you're on there. Wait, tell me when you're going to talk. Tell me, wait. Okay.
What else Darwin noticed was that even though there were all these new animals he's never seen before, when he went from island to island, there were similar animals, but they weren't identical to each other. They were a little different from one another. For example, the iguanas, some had large claws, some had smaller claws. The finches, some had big beaks, some had small beaks. And tortoises, some had really big shells, some had smaller shells. And so he noticed that even though they're the same species, they were very little different from island to island. And he thought it was because of the environment of the island. Depending on what was available, what kind of food was on that island, they had to have a certain adaptation or trait to survive. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to eat, and they wouldn't be able to survive, and they would die.
So you're saying birds that ate certain plants, they had different beaks according to the plants and animals they ate?
Right. If you had to find insects in between cracks on a rock, would you be able to find them if you had big old beaks?
Probably not. The beak would get in the way.
You would probably need skinny beaks, right?
What about the birds that ate seeds, really hard seeds? What type of beak would they have?
They would probably need really big, strong beaks.
Excellent. And this is what Darwin noticed?
That's what he noticed.
Excellent. Right now, you might want to pause it. As you guys know, you guys can pause this at any time you want. Pause it and think about Darwin's work on the Galapagos Island, what he discovered, and how important it was. Evolution is our next thing. Darwin is the first person to come up with a theory of evolution. And evolution is a gradual change in a species over time. If you look here, we have fossil evidence of a horse that, well, I don't know, millions of years ago, and the horse slowly changed into what the horse is today. A lot bigger, probably a lot stronger, and a lot faster than it was.
And the hooves are different.
The hooves were different too. I did not know that. But it's a gradual change in the species over time. And when I say gradual, I'm talking probably many thousands of years, if not millions of years, that this change occurs. However, humans can decrease that time. You've heard of breeding pets and stuff. If humans are involved, they can selectively breed animals, large or small. This is where we get the miniature poodles, the miniature Dalmatians, things like that. And that doesn't occur thousands of years. That occurs within a couple, several generations. So with human influences, evolution also could occur, but we're talking about natural evolution here. So Darwin believed in natural selection, which only the fittest survive. And the fittest could be the strongest, it could be the ones with the best camouflage. Fittest could mean the prettiest, if you are looking for fastest swimmer, fastest runner. Prettiest, to find another mate. Things like that. The best, ability to smell, ability to see. So that's what we mean by fittest.
Darwin said that natural selection, evolution by natural selection, happens in several steps, and here they are. First thing that happens is overproduction. Animals give birth to many, many young, but they're not all able to survive. And why is that? Because there's not enough resources. They might have to fight over food or territory or water or mates. And so overproduction. Too many are being born, and not all of them will be able to survive.
Even with trees, too. Imagine if every single seed that fell off that tree grew into an adult tree. Way too many. Not enough room on this planet for all those.
Right. And the second step is variation. Not all the same species are going to be the same. Some might be a little bigger, some might be smarter, some might be darker in color. Even you and your brothers and sisters, you guys aren't exactly the same, are you? So there's variations among individuals.
Yeah. Think about that sunflower seed lab that we did. A lot of you guys probably thought the sunflower seeds were the same, but after doing that activity, there were obviously some differences or variations.
Right. And the third step is there's competition, whether it's competing for mates or food or water, or competing not to get killed by a predator. It's really difficult to survive, and there's competition to be the one to survive. And then the next one is if you have that adaptation, that special trait that helps you survive in your environment, you'll be able to survive, pass on that trait to your offspring. And after many generations, most of them will have that same trait.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yes. Do you want to do the last step?
You could.
Okay. And the last step, and probably the most important step to natural selection, is what we call reproduction. That's when we reproduce or have children or offspring. Okay? And offspring is passing the traits from parents to offspring. So if we have a pug right here, and let's pretend it's a female pug, and we got a beagle right here, and it's a male beagle, if they got together, they would have an offspring, or a baby, a dog, or a puppy. And this baby dog or puppy would have traits of the mom as well as traits of the dad. If you notice, the pushed-in nose came from the pug, floppy ears came from the beagle, the color looks like it came from the mom or the pug, and the tail is probably from the beagle. So this reproduction is passing of traits, or passing of how things look from the parents down to the offspring. You guys are a result of your parents. You've probably heard of you look a little bit like your mom and a little bit like your dad. That's because they reproduced and they passed on their traits to you, which is their offspring. Thank you.
Let's see how scary that was.
All right, keep your annotations on this card. It's still recording.